Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another Behind the Group podcast. I am DJ Keo.
And I am Basil Barrington, and we are back with another Silo review. Episode number 6, The Relic. IMDb gave this a 7.6. What do you think about that rating?
That's too low. That's way too low.
That's too low.
That's
I think
ridiculous.
people
Yeah.
don't get
Oh,
this
this show's
joint.
fire.
I think people don't get it.
Maybe they want something explosive or whatever.
Yeah,
Like this is a political thriller underground.
This is a
Like,
sci-fi
this is
political
great.
thriller drama, the whole nine. It's like every show, even last week with Janitor's Boy, and now this week, or The Truth, or whatever, right? They're giving you just all of these like breadcrumbs to just like follow along, right? It's kind of dope.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. There's a lot of revelations in this show. Like we learned George is a piece of crap, but he's running through women to get some relics. Apparently that's his MO. Like,
do you think that George may have been working for Judicial or what?
Ooh, that's interesting. That's a good listen, okay? Because what he was doing was he's buying and selling relics, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's exposing people who are selling them.
Yes.
That's very interesting, and he knows more than he's supposed to know.
Yeah. He's not here anymore, you know. So
yeah. Well, they got rid of him for reasons.
That was the first thing I thought. I was like, well, was he working for these people, or at least an informant or something like that?
Whisperers, the Whisperers, the friends of the silo, whatever they call them, like.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then something else interesting that happened, and I'm not even sure what to think about this, but Common was saying that Billings was his son. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I think that's probably like a thing that he's saying as like an apprentice.
Like, okay.
Kind of like a term of endearment kind of thing.
Yeah,
because he's too old to be his son.
Right.
Guys, he's got a growing wife and family, man.
Right.
He don't make any sense.
You know.
Chronically, that doesn't make any sense. But like,
yeah.
It's interesting that Billings seems to be more trustworthy this week than he was last week.
Mm-hmm.
And Bernard seems more trustworthy this week than last week too. But we don't know. Bernard could be a snake too. We don't know. So other thing that we found two things: the relic room that Common has in the background, and we also found what's in the janitor's room, which is basically cameras of everything, which is very interesting. Because here's the thing: when they built the silo initially, they would have to install these cameras from back then. This is not a new development. So I wonder why they had the cameras there. Was it for, like, sometimes when they're doing like experiments or whatever in like some kind of science experiments, they would have cameras in the room wherever to keep an eye on people to see, like, how they're feeling, their mood or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible the cameras were for that and it's turned into a whole other thing? Or they're always planning to keep an eye on everybody involved and they just left it like this? I don't know. Yeah. These are very good, these interesting things happening here.
Yeah.
And we found out about the book, but we'll talk about that after.
Yeah. Now, when you talk about the cameras, right? So let's take the cameras, and then when they were in the judge's chamber, or at least her office, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the type of furniture she had? She had regular old leather furniture with the buttons on it, right? Mm-hmm. And it looked brand new. And so remember a couple episodes back, I was saying, I don't know if they're that far into the future, because if you look at all the things they're using now, that sofa look brand new. I can get that at like a store right now. You know what I'm saying? And the cameras.
They got cows in there though. They have cows. They can make new leather if they needed to.
Yeah, but the buttons too, on the sofa, that's a very old traditional style. And the cameras were not like super duper high tech, like futuristic sort of cameras either, right?
I think the silo was made in the 60s, around that time. Because like that technology would be kind of on par, except for the monitors, because they didn't have color monitors back then.
Yeah.
But so either that, obviously this is a completely different timeline, but I would say like it has that retro 60s, 70s type vibe. But the color monitors wouldn't be possible until like 96, 93. I think when the CRT turned color. You remember they were like yellow before
Well,
or green.
they were black with green letters, almost like
Yeah,
command
it was the
line. You know what I'm
green,
saying?
but
Yeah.
there's some monitors that were yellow, but that it was for a long time before you got a color CRT monitor like that with the cathode
Yeah.
tube. It was a long time.
And
It's
even
like
when they
90
came out with the
something.
first computers, you know, you still had to like which was like PC, and you know, you had to use DOS and everything else. So it was kind of
Hmm.
crazy. You were
Yeah,
never
yeah.
in some sort of a GUI interface. You were sort of like felt like you were on command line, you know, for the most part, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, but they're
Mhm.
looking at color pictures, even though it's low res, like it's
Yeah.
like 320. I'll say like maybe
For
320
maybe
resolution.
460, 320 is probably right.
Yeah, yeah, but I'm just saying, like, there's still got color on those monitors.
Yeah.
There's different colors on those things. So that it has to be the original silo was made maybe in the 70s, 80s. Maybe. Just to justify the stuff that they're, because like our governments and stuff like that, they have stuff that's not even out yet that they're working on that we're not supposed to know about that exists, that they're using before everybody else gets it, right? So let's say the end of the world was 1980 something, and then they're in a silo for 100
150,
years,
yep. Hmm.
and then you got
Yeah.
150 years on top of that.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, I think it's 2,200, 2,250.
Would you be completely amazed if the
Mm-hmm.
year was something like 2040, 2050,
No,
something like that?
I would be like, yep, that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because the people that think about this, right? Before there's some kind of revolution in the silo, they had to been down there for a while. Because remember, there's a TV show called The 100,
Yeah.
and they were up there for a couple generations
40
before they
years.
they they put
Well,
people
actually,
down
100
on the ground,
years. Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So everybody's on the same page initially when they get into the silo. Everybody's working together, whatever, whatever. And then I'm pretty sure they had a couple fights for leadership. And then however long that would take, maybe 2 generations that would take for people to be like, yo, screw the silo. We're going to go outside. We're going to risk it. And then they have to put down the law and be like, this is what it's going to be. And beat everybody up and be like, yo, we're going to throw you outside if you talk about this again. So
I
I'm
want to go
saying, like,
outside.
yeah, I would say at least 2-3 generations before they would be like, yeah, they have the revolution.
Yeah.
So at 100 years, been roughly 100 years. So I was saying 230 to 2300. That's possible. That's doable. 2400. That's doable.
Well, I was
That's
saying
very doable.
2050, 2040, maybe,
Oh,
you
like
know?
the 2050.
Yeah.
That's tight because the whole thing they said is there's 150 years since the rebellion.
Hmm. Could the
That puts a
rebellion
good
have
chunk of
happened
time
like, you
after
know, in 1900,
1960.
well, 19, 20 or 19 something, you know what I'm saying? Just something crazy
Well, cause
like
no,
that.
because they have CRT, that because of the camera, the CRT and the camcorder, it has to be up in the 60s, 70s when all this stuff was invented.
Right. But if you take your theory, which I believe,
Hmm.
that there are additional silos, right?
Yeah,
Maybe those separate silos do totally different things. Like maybe one silo is in charge of just like creating technology, you know,
yeah.
and another
Well,
silo is
yeah.
in charge of like creating seeds for like growing apple trees and things like that. You know, who knows, right?
Well, because they keep alluding to mines, so there's people working down there doing something, and then where they giving it to? Where are they going with it? Where they mining
Hmm.
coal? Like what are they mining? We have
Yeah.
no idea. Because it seems the whole silo seems to be running off of geothermal energy. It seems to be. So what are they mining? What do you need to mine for? You're getting your power from the earth already.
That's why this is such a compelling show because
Mhm.
it's not like you're not getting a bang bang every episode. You're not getting any bang bang
Yeah.
any episode, you know? None.
No.
It's
No.
not that type of show.
It's thought provoking. It's real
Yeah.
thought provoking. Especially because you got to think about, like, we can talk about this a little later, but when Jules found that book about adventures in Georgia,
Mm-hmm.
Like, you got to think from her perspective,
Mm-hmm.
she's never seen any of this stuff before.
Yeah.
She didn't even know this is physically possible to go kayaking or on a raft
She was like,
and walk outside the trees. Like, she's like, what?
whoa, this looks fun. Let me ask you this. Let me
Yeah,
say
yeah.
this here. Two things
Mm-hmm.
that are interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
One is, I think Bernard, Billings, and also the judge, they're starting
They know.
to they're starting to realize that, you know what, the judiciary, these are the bad guys. Because the
Mm-hmm.
judge, when she was like, you know, she did that, and then, you know, there are some things they're talking
Yeah,
about, like in
I
terms
think,
of the next episode, you know, where Bernard is like, I
yeah.
don't know about these guys. And Billings, like you said, he's just like, he's questioning them in a sort of soft way, though,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I think you're right. I think the judge is held hostage by judicial.
Yeah.
It's
Mm-hmm.
not the other way around. I think
Yeah.
she's basically doing what they say.
Right.
They're in charge.
Right. And Common is not
Judicial's
head of
100%
this.
wrong.
Common is not the head of whatever's going on, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah. There's a guy, because like George's initial girlfriend was saying there's a guy who doesn't sleep, or he comes at nighttime or whatever, and he knows everything. Because
Wow.
the cameras, that was not surprising to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because remember, right at the beginning of this whole show, what did he say? The original sheriff. What did he
They're
say?
watching
He
you.
said,
Yep.
"Put 4 flowers
Mm-hmm.
in front of the mirror."
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he had to know there's a camera there.
Yep. Yep.
So that's what I'm
That's
saying. Like, he
crazy.
had to know. So I
Two-way.
think that they do know that there's people watching and listening. They know that, but they don't know. I don't think you can't watch everything, because it seems like there's only 3 guys working there, two guys watching all the cameras.
But you
That's a
know
lie.
what? But you know what, man? The camera room, that was on some high-tech stuff, wasn't it? They had like,
Mm-hmm.
50 monitors up there. They saw
They had like
everything.
LCD cameras. I mean,
Yeah.
monitors up there. LCD monitors. There
CCTVs
was
or
not a
something like that. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. That
It's
was way
crazy.
more high tech than when everybody else. That's why I question the timeline. This has to be further in the future.
That was pretty cool because they introduced the cameras. They also introduced doubt, with
Mm-hmm.
the judiciary. And then they introduced
Mm-hmm.
something else where Billings has the syndrome. What is the syndrome?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so apparently randomly people down there, and they catch some kind of virus syndrome, whatever, that their body starts shaking. You get the shakes, and they don't think he doesn't think it's hereditary, or his wife doesn't think so,
Yeah,
which is interesting. And you're not. Another thing is that you're not allowed to have any power if you have it.
none.
So he's supposed to quit his job, but he don't want to quit his job, so he's pretending like everything's good.
Right.
Which is, that's the thing that Jules and him had, so that they can kind of see eye to eye when he's asking, "Are you going to lie to me?" And he's like, "You going to tell everybody you got the shakes?" And he's like, "Nah, well, okay, well, we're cool here then."
Mm-hmm.
But
Exactly.
it is very, I think it's very interesting that there's all these little rules for this simple thing. Like, you got a disease, you can't be in power. And I want to know why. Because would you abuse your power trying to find a cure? Like, what would you like? I don't understand why it would matter if he has it, if he has whatever the shakes or whatever the thing is, the
You know,
syndrome. It
and
must matter. There must be a reason for it.
and
Maybe it hurts your mind after a while.
well, yeah. I mean, well, if you in a position of power, let's say you're a sheriff, like this guy, deputy sheriff, and he
Yeah,
has
he
a
can't do his
shakes.
job if
He
he's
can't
got
do his job,
shaking.
if he's like has to use a
Yeah.
club or like his pistol or something like that. So, but I want to know what's interesting about this little storyline is, and they're going to tell us, they'll let us know, but what is the syndrome and how do you catch it? How do you get the syndrome?
That's an interesting thing. It
Right.
doesn't seem to be hereditary.
Is
It
it
seems like you catch it from being down there.
could it be associated with possibly going outside for a little bit, then coming back in?
That's possible. I don't know. Like, maybe there's some kind of radiation thing down there. Like, it seems like something nuclear happened outside,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so it could be worldwide. It could be this little area here. I don't know, but it's something nuclear happened, and so there must be some radiation. It must be radiation associated.
Yeah.
I guess this is the way to see it. But I don't know. There's a lot of interesting things about the show. The other thing too he's talking about was the big lie. He talked about going outside, how long we're down there.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing he said to worry about is what if everything that you think is true is wrong and you've been lied to. That got me thinking, like, what is the lie here? Why they're in the silo? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, what, how they
Why
got there? Like,
why
they
can't they
don't even
go
ask questions.
outside? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they don't even ask why they're down there or how long they've been there. That's part of the pledge they have to say. We don't know
Right.
how long we've been here. We don't know why we're here. But we're here. Everybody be safe. So like, there's a reason why they're in the silo, and
Right.
there's a reason why they die instantly when they take 2 feet outside.
Mm-hmm. I
They,
mean, the entire rebellion, that war
Mhm.
could be a lie. Maybe, who knows,
That's
man? This
also a good
this
point.
could be like a
And he said
government experiment.
everything.
Yeah.
He said everything we know about everything is a lie.
Right. Because some of the people who are living there, they don't even know about the rebellion war, right? The
Yeah.
rebellion, right? And the other thing
Mhm.
is, who knows? This could be like a huge government program and
That's a
experiment,
good
and
point.
they're just
This could
putting
be
people in there.
experiment.
Like, what if once the world ends, like, can we live in a silo? I don't know. Let's like put these people in, blah 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 blah.
You know
You
what?
never know.
It could be one of those things where like they're doing the experiment and they forgot about it or somebody died and then these people just trapped in this thing and they can't get out. Like that's possible too. Like anything could happen.
Yeah, it's
I don't know.
man.
This is what I love the theories. That's why I love shows like this
I
where
love shows
you
like
know
this, man.
you start to your mind starts thinking like how could this work? Whatever. All the theories about it.
Yeah.
It reminds me of Lost and the movie The Village with M. Night Shyamalan.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely reminds me of The Village because I think there's shenanigans afoot here, and we don't know exactly what though.
Yeah. It's something weird here. It feels like a
Mm-hmm.
lie. It feels like they're
Yeah.
keeping the population in the dark. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
Common is not. Common is just he's just a
I think
cog.
he knows.
Yeah, he's just part of the
100% think he
program.
knows.
He's not in charge of anything because early on,
Mm-hmm.
like in some of the earlier episodes, some of the other sort of judicial people sort of put him in place. Like, dude, you're not who you think you are. So just chill
Yeah,
out.
you're
That
not
sort
the
of
man.
thing.
Like, yo, chill.
Exactly, man.
Because Bernard did that too. Judge
Right.
did it, but
Exactly.
for appearances though, because there's people behind the scenes too that are keeping the silo in order. So that's a
This is
factor.
this
Like
is
the
a
guy,
good
the lady
joint.
that she said, the guy who never sleep. I think he's in charge of the silo. Like he's more important than anybody else. He
This
seems to know
is
everything.
this is weird because it's like when I heard that and I'm just like, oh, okay, this is like the Wizard of Oz. He's just like back there,
Yeah,
just like just
yeah.
controlling everything. Just I'm
Mhm.
like, this is who knows, right? The other thing is this before we wrap it up. It makes me
Mhm.
want to read the books.
Yes, I'm very fascinated about these books now.
Right.
I don't know how big. If it's Dune level or War and Peace, I'm probably not gonna read them. I just get a summary. But this is very interesting.
Yeah. This is
I'm very fascinated about this thing. I want to know more.
imagine reading this. I mean, we're watching it right now, right?
Mhm.
Imagine, you're on a beach or whatever, you want a good book to read, right? This is
Mhm.
nothing gory about this. It's all interesting. It's all intrigue, it's just like drama, so
Yeah.
it
The
sounds
premise is
like,
great.
and it sounds and feels like it could be a really good read.
Mhm. Yeah.
How many
Yeah.
how many books do they have? I think like 6,
I
right?
think there's four
4?
books. I'm
Wow.
not sure though. I gotta double check. I know the first one was like Dust or I cannot remember what it was. It was like something like that.
Wow.
But
That's
yeah, the
pretty
first
cool,
one
man.
is about Jules, and then
Mhm.
she's like the main character of the series.
Okay.
And yeah, it is very interesting. It, but 100% in the books they can't go outside either.
Okay.
They'll die
Well,
instantly if they go
we
outside.
may hey, like I said, someone may throw their own creative like dust on top of it and say
Oh yeah,
no,
they did. They changed a couple things, but
yeah.
this I'm very fascinated. If I got some time, I may actually go get this book and try and see what's going
I
on
may have
here.
to check it out, man, for real, man. What are
Yeah.
you going to give Silo episode number 6, The Relic.
I give it an 8. This is the thing. You don't need explosions to be interesting. This show is giving just a little bit of breadcrumbs, and they're all good. Like I want to know more about this universe. And that's the part of good storytelling. Once you see something like that, you're instantly in. I'm fully in on this world. I want to know more. I want to know everything about this world, and I believe there's more silos. There has to be.
Yeah, I kind of believe that too. I am also going to give it an 8. This joint is pretty dope. Like you said, the storytelling is cool. But with storytelling, you also need good writers and also a good director, you know?
Writing.
So,
yeah, the suspense, everything's good.
Right.
It's intriguing.
It just goes to show you, Hollywood writers, that, you know, I mean, there's money out there to be made, but we can't just be putting out like 2 and 3 star movies either, right? And films and TV shows, you know, we got to give us something
Put more
really great.
stuff like this out there, and your strike will go away.
Exactly.
I'll say it like that.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? Because it's just like, we don't have to give you this. You know, that's what Hollywood is basically saying. The movie houses are basically saying. But yeah, 8 is what I'm giving it because, man, this is just a really
great show.
Great show, man. Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Behind the Groove podcast. I am Basil Barrington.
I am DJ Keo.
Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And until next time, peace.